Hello, Judy here from Thistledew Creations, and I'm working on scrap busting today for hashtag Give a Scrap from Brenda Clark and Angela at the Traveling Crafter. Brenda was the one that mentioned me and asked me to participate, and I do like doing scrap busting things, so I'm going to do another snippet roll for you this afternoon. I just finished up this one, which I'm calling Boho. It's sort of just how it ended up, all the different colors in it. Excuse me, I was just sneezing. And I haven't embellished it further yet. I could add lace and buttons and things like that, which I may do. I'm just sort of letting it dry and going on to the next one so that I can keep my rhythm going. And I am starting to put some certain things over on the other bin that I might want to do a really pretty, like almost what do you call it? Shabby chic one. So anything that's pastel or really pretty I'm putting over there. But I think I would like to do another one that uses up all these colors. So let's continue on with that. Use up some of these scraps. There's a piece of burlap. We didn't put burlap in the last one. And I'm using this polyester ribbon, which is about, I'm going to say it's 2 inches, 2.5 or 3 inches wide. Two and a half. And it's just something I don't reach for to craft with. So I thought this might be a good way to use it to back up my snippet roll. Then the back of my roll is still pretty. Not that it really necessarily needs to be. And it's also a little bit pliable. I'm not sure how that one's going to dry, whether it will be kind of crusty and hard to roll around a spool, but that's what I would like to do, is be able to roll it around a spool. I think that looks neat. It's a neat way to store things. I'm going to go ahead and use a big long piece of this. Cover some ground. And I'm going just over the edge of the ribbon. I don't want it to get too wide. I did some snippet strips with paper this morning, and I stuck things way out over the edge of the tape that I was using, and it ended up being too wide to be called a snippet strip anymore, which is fine. It is what it is. You know, it's just telling me what it wants to be instead of me telling it, I guess. One of them, I think, is actually going to become a small journal cover. You just never know. You sit down to make one thing and then you end up making something else. And that's all part of the fun, I think. Okay, so there's some beiges, and I'm going to try to, maybe what I'll do here is approach this one a little bit differently and kind of pick out all the beige bits and glue them down, just scatter them down the length of the strip, and then go back and fill in with some other colors. Burlap is not the easiest thing, especially when it's deformed from being in a pile of scraps. Let's see if we can persuade this to stay down. You can see the pink out from underneath it, but that's all right. My hand's a wipe. One thing I have a lot of in this batch of scraps is some just barely off white. It's almost like it was white and it's just dingy from years of being washed, but it's a really interesting texture, and I might want to include that here to use it up for one thing, and to just get it add some lightness into this, and then just a little bit of color is what I'm thinking. All beiges and then a little bit of color. There's a good piece of beige. I'm a bit of a sampler when it comes to crafting. I like to do a little bit of everything when I get onto something. I always like to try it in different ways. And these are feeling a little bit big, so I'm going to just rip this in half. Literally. I'm going to alternate this over to this side. I'm guessing at how long it is. I didn't go nearly far enough. These bigger pieces, of course, make it quicker to cover up your substrate, whatever that may be. It can be a long strip of... The other thing I just thought, the other thing I could have used here instead of the ribbon is adding machine rolls. I do have some rolls of paper from old calculators, which I don't use anymore. I just use my iPhone calculator, and I don't worry about having like a tape readout of it. But I still do have some, so I could use that as well for strips of snippets, paper and or fabric. Put this one down in the corner here. Again, just hanging off the edge is what I want. Just gathering all the beige bits that I see, pulling them out. And just sort of, right now, just evenly spacing them around. That's where it wants to be, that's where it will be. Now that needs a little more glue. Pretty absorbent. Let's see, what have I got over here? This is perfect. Different kind of print. I'm going to cut that hem piece off. That can be used for something else maybe. And do I want to make this smaller? Maybe just this way. That'll fill in there. So this might be okay with the glue stick. I'm thinking I have to stock up on glue soon. So I'm going to put this one down here. Changed my mind. Some of these strings off. Don't mind some. I definitely want the fraying, but I don't necessarily want all those twirling behind. Some people do. They like it really, really scrappy. I'm sorry, my fingers are just sticking to that thread and it won't let go. There we go. There's a tiny little piece with some embroidery on it. Beautiful. Again, memories of what I used it for. I want this further up. I think I want it here. think, let's save that for something else. Let's see here. What do we got left for beige down at this end? There's those white bits I was talking about. Some bright blue. There's some ticking. Could be edging. Let's try the glue stick on it again. I'm just kind of playing around with the different glues to see what it really needs. If I can get away with glue stick, I would just use that because it's, even though I am getting my fingers pretty sticky with it today, it is pretty easy to work with for the most part. And there's some plain little triangular pieces. It's muslin. It's almost like your coffee dyed paper element if you were using paper. Just kind of plainish. Just had to adjust my chair there for a second. I felt like something was weird, and it was that my little back on my office chair had flipped backwards. It wasn't up against my back anymore. Some to glue off my fingers onto this piece of fabric. See if it's enough. I don't think it is. It sure holds my fingers together. This little tool that I'm using is a silicone. I think it's a nose scrubber to clean the pores on your nose. But it's silicone, so it doesn't stick to the glue. So it's good for pressing things down, and hopefully it won't lift up when you pull it up. That's the idea. I need a good hand washing after this. Sticky. Put this one back up here. And I think some of these are ending up like upside down, wrong side out, but it's all working, so. Especially with the beiges, you can't really tell too much which way it's supposed to be. Another little piece of ticking. I see just where I want to put that. I just saw some cork there. I bought a cork pencil case, or it may have been a makeup bag, but I think it was a pencil case. I think it was in the office supplies section of the dollar store, and it was made of cork. Very, very, very thin cork. So I cut it up to use in collages. This one right on the edge up here. Some of these pieces are almost too skinny, but I have saved them. So I need to find places to use them. That one might just be a good one where there's a tiny gap between two pieces that I need to fill. There's another piece. I can use some of it here and some of it at the other end, which you probably can't see. I'm going just up onto the burlap there to help hold it down. And then this piece should reach to the end. I want the zigzag out. So I'm still just trying to get all the beige pieces out of this pile on my right up in front of me here. I love that fraying on that piece. It needs a dab of glue underneath there. So let's see, this is all, that's gray, some pink. I was going to use some of this white, wasn't I? I'm going to go through the rest of the pile and get all the beiges out first. It might end up being all beige. I don't even have any black in this one. So I'm kind of just pushing them over to the side when I'm kind of done looking through them. There's a piece. Use that up at the end because it's cut on a diagonal for me. Use it there. Hopefully you can see that. Just bring it over in case you couldn't. Piece of chenille with paper backing, so that's pretty heavy and thick. The only problem with those is it might stop it from being bendable when it's dry, but I'm going to use it anyway. So I've got a piece here, a piece here. I need a piece down here if I'm going to do another one. When I first got the upholstery fabric samples, I was trying to get all the papers off the back. And there's lots of YouTube videos about it. You can do it, but it's time consuming and frustrating. And I just thought to myself, you know, I'm using it for paper crafting anyway, so I'm probably gluing most of it down. I'm not trying to make a quilt with it. So I just decided to leave the paper backings on and use them as stiffener, which is what they've ended up being for most of my projects. I do little bookmarks and I do book covers. So all of those things need to be kind of on the stiff side. So the paper backing actually becomes a help, not a hindrance. Like I say, if I was trying to make tote bags or make a quilt with it, it would be, I'd really want it removed, but I'm not, so it can stay. And once I figured that out, I was much happier about my collection of fabric samples. Put that in with the pretties. It's beige, but it's got a bit of blue in it, so I'm not gonna, I think I've got enough of this. Let's see, I'm trying to find some other things like this, a little bit darker. Again, a stiff piece, but we gotta go with it. Gotta go with what we got. I'm trying to use just what's in front of me. Another piece of cork. So it can go down here further. I was worried because that one was folded in half, but it laid down pretty good. Another piece of this little ticking stripe, that's a triangle, so I'm going to use it down at the end. Right there. A piece of beige without the backing. There's a taupe. Just need to get rid of that white. Square edge can go in underneath. I think I will use this little piece with the hem on it. There's a spot up there that it can go. Purples will be easy to use. Not too worried about finding places for purple or green. Any floral, you can use a green. Just filling in all the spots that I see that are blank. So there's a small piece of that. 2 small pieces of it, which is good. Again, this is too close to the other ones, so I'm not going to use that. I did get a lot of use out of that pillowcase. I think it was just one pillowcase that I purchased at a thrift store, not a pair. But I just knew that that sort of lattice design would be good with florals, and it was. It has been very good to use. There's some more really skinny strips that I might use to fill in. Might just use them on top just to use them up, whether they're needed or not. I'm gonna have to clean up my glues after this. They're getting strings all over them. And if I press that down and kind of roll it off instead of lifting straight up, it works better. Just give the glue a moment to connect with the paper, or in this case, the polyester ribbon, which is probably not the best thing for accepting the glue either. Might have been better to use 3-in-1, but that stuff would make me feel icky by the end of the afternoon. So I'd rather have to go back and glue a couple of things than feel icky from crafting. It doesn't make sense to me. So you can see I don't really have any rhyme or reason to when I grab the glue stick or the white glue. Kind of use them both. Some things just need the help of the white glue. There's a piece of beige sneaking into the pretties. This is quite snippety with all these tiny little pieces, but that's kind of what I wanted. Kind of what I had in mind. Now that's going way down at the end here. And I still need a small piece to fill in between. Maybe I'll just take a little piece of this. Maybe start with the glue stick again. We're getting her. It's so hard, you know, you start a bin of just fabric scraps and then you realize you want them separated into certain colors. So then you need like 7 or 8 or 9 bins of fabric scraps. So you almost need like a 7 bank of drawers for each thing, for ribbon, for paper, for fabric, just to keep everything sorted. It's challenging to keep everything sorted, that's for sure. I keep finding boxes full of scraps and things that I wanted to fussy cut. And when I print something out or find something that I want to fussy cut, like I want it done right away, but if I don't get to it, and something else comes along, it gets shoved to the bottom of the pile and forgotten about almost every time. I guess that's just the way a crafter's mind generally works. Almost like ADHD, but I've never been diagnosed with anything like that. But you certainly have a hard time staying focused when you see all the things you want to do out before you every morning. Where do you start? Well, luckily I had committed to doing the scrap thing, or I might have ended up painting or something today. I just never know what I want to do when I wake up on my day off. There's so many things I want to do that I don't know which one to do first. So I'm almost out of beige scraps here, so I do have some fabrics beside me, bigger pieces that aren't considered scraps, that I will dip into. I'll put that right there. Just about had it. Just about had enough. If I was willing to blend in some more colors, I would have had enough. If I wanted to use more of this, I would have enough, but I think I've got enough of that. I need other textures in there. So let's see what I have here. Oh, there's more muslin for sure. There's some of this. This is another muslin that was, it's pretty thick. And it had some sort of printed thing on it, like that you were supposed to embroider or something. I cut it up just for the muslin. So let's see what sizes I need. We'll be a little more meticulous about how we use this. Move it that way. And I don't want the black showing, I don't think. We'll put this piece, actually that could fill all the way up, but I think I want it to start about there. So I'm going to cut this off here and use this little piece down here somewhere. Rid of some of the loose threads. Well, my hands aren't sticky. And I think white glue for this. And then something to go right there. There's another piece of this that I can use. And most of these are the same fabrics that were in my scraps. But I do have some Battenberg lace that I can get some of the muslin out of. The lace. I don't want this lacy just yet. Just want to fill in the background right now. So this just needed a little tiny piece, and out of little tiny pieces, which is good, that's the goal. And I think when I take this to my sewing machine, I'll try to use brown thread on this. I think I'll use black on the colorful one. I'm not set up to sew on camera, so that'll have to be something you see in the thumbnail picture. There's a few things I need to figure out. How to set up for coffee dyeing paper and how to set up for sewing. But I mean, I'm not set up for sewing just on an everyday basis. I have to find a place to set it up and figure all that out. So to have a place dedicated that I could use it and film would be great. So maybe we'll figure that out before next winter when I would be wanting to do more of that. Let that finish this off here. Actually, I'm just gonna make it a little narrower, which seems silly, but that's just the way I see it needing to be. Not even worried about whether it's angled on the end. I think it's okay. So I think that's all covered. Let's just see here. There's a little bit of pink showing there. That's a little bit too small. Let's just throw some of this there. as we go along, you can see all the different textures and colors of beige. That needs some help staying down. There's some more pink showing through up here. So let's go ahead and use this, or this. No, that's right there. We gotta use this. Gotta use what we got, and we gotta use what fits. But I don't like two things side by side the same, so at least this is separated from this. And I don't want that fraying underneath. I want it on top. There. So that's another yard done. Of background at least. We'll see how we end up embellishing them. So if you like seeing scrappy projects, how to use up your scraps as you start to get into the craft and realize you're creating a ton of them, watch my playlist of scrap busting and you'll have some more ideas. And also check out Brenda Clark at The Simple Crafter and The Traveling Crafter, Angela, and hashtag Give a Scrap. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. Most of all, happy crafting.